the rant was on there too. Well,
Dude, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Somebody else was all vibing with that too. I just let it
Okay.
go.
Okay. I thought
You
that was
know,
pre.
really. And some of this I can edit if I want to later. But actually, I had just did a post last night. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I
I,
haven't, nope, I haven't even been
I
on yet.
posted last night about just racial trauma and Black folks need a retreat. And this is,
Yes.
I did straight ebonics when I wrote it, but this too much.
You're right.
Um,
It's too much. Way too
mhm.
much.
um, but yeah, so at this moment, I'm being joined by Miss Carol. We're having our afternoon tea time.
Tea time. Chills.
Yes. So what's in your teacup?
So I have a mixture of peach tranquility and soothing green tea
Ooh.
with some Damiana drops.
Okay. Inform me on these Damiana drops.
Oh, Damiana. So I have been working on trying to kind of cleanse my body because I was told I was pre-diabetic and then diabetic, and I just was like, I don't receive that. It took me 6 months just to receive, the fact that. And so they started giving me all these medications, and I started having all these side effects. And I was like, okay, let me stop. I have a family full of doctors and a Bible full of word. So between
Okay.
the two of them things, some's got to give. So I started kind of finding out some interesting tidbits and talking to some holistic doctors as well as like some vegans and people who had been through the trial of being diabetic and then getting out of being diabetic. And Damiana drops, Damiana root is something that's excellent for your adrenal glands, for regulating sugar. It's supposed to be an aphrodisiac also, but we won't even get. I haven't. I'll keep you posted.
Hey. I
Right, right. So, and specifically for women, supposed to be an aphrodisiac. So I'm house sitting at my parents' house. So when I go back home to my husband, I'll let you know. But
right.
it really does. I've noticed the difference, like with it, and I've been drinking nettle root tea, sour sop tea. So just all very natural teas, and yeah, and it's been working. And I'm down 64 pounds.
Wow.
Yep.
How long have you been doing this?
So since the middle of last year, so since about May, almost a year now. Last year, I'm down 64 pounds, and I'm down to one medication, which is for because I have a irregular heartbeat. I have a cardiac issue, and so I'm down to just that medication.
Yeah.
So I'm off 5 other medications, and I feel a lot better. And yeah, it's been a huge difference.
Wow. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's educational. So anybody who get to see this can know more. Now, if you need to go get some of those, can you pronounce those drops for me again?
Yes, there's Damiana.
Damiana.
Yep, it's Diama. Wait, I'm sorry, Diamana, Damiana, and nettle root and sour sop. So I literally go on Amazon and buy the leaves, the nettle root leaves, thistle leaves, blackberry and blueberry, and I can make my own tea out of them. So I've
Nice.
just been crushing them up, and yeah, so it's really nice, and it's a ton less expensive than buying them
Right.
straight from like a tea shop. Yep. So it's been wonderful.
I should have a segment maybe sometime in the future. Well, just like tea and health.
Yes.
I did a video last week, I think, or it could have been a week before. I don't know. Everything started to blur together with a fitness instructor. His business is called Foster the Fitness, and
Ooh,
so I was
nice.
hoping to team up with him and produce some ways that we can be active together and learn how to do some things for our own bodies to help us get fit and stay fit and moving, and well, that's what I need because I had got them COVID pounds. So,
Yeah.
you know. Well, tell me what tea best describes you.
So I was thinking about that. That is so difficult. I think that it would be like jade green tea because green tea is like that below the surface, like chill tea, and people don't think it has like the power and the
Mm,
antioxidants and the so it's just kind of like people are like, oh, green tea, and they think, oh, it's just so this, that, the other, and oh, it's just so there, and then all of a sudden it's like pow, and you can't sleep because it does have caffeine, but people think it doesn't, and you can put so many things with it, and it kind of will meld and embrace the things that are with it. So I think like a jade green tea is me all day long.
cool.
Yeah.
But I really don't sense you sneaking up on nobody.
I know. Yeah. So let me explain that. So um, I know people. I have been getting that a lot lately. People are like, you are the most open out there person, and I think it's the time in my life, like because I used to be a very like stay below the radar, um big and tall as I am, like I would try and disappear. I used to always describe myself as, oh, I'm the shoebop, I'm the background singer, like I'll keep everything in tune and I have no problem being a supporting cast. And just over the past few years, uh I've just been realizing, like, why are you downgrading yourself? And why are like, you're putting these parameters on yourself,
Right.
and that God wouldn't give you the personality and the personhood you have and you are to kind of hide your light under that bushel. So I have been kind of, coming into my own. It's only taken me a half a century.
Right. Hey, listen, at least you got there or you're getting there. Um, Let me know what these earrings saying in your ears though.
Oh, Chanel. Chanel.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, they were
thank
a
you.
gift. Yes, they were a gift, so I thought I'd bling them out.
Go ahead on, bling on
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
All
Because
right.
usually, a mask is usually like tangled up. So I just gave up on earrings for a while because I was like, the masks are always tangled. But I was like, oh, I can be a little zhuzhed up for Rhonda.
Exactly. Go ahead. You done put the hair down, put the
Right?
lipstick on, you done bought
Right?
the bling out. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
please tell me about what you are doing these days. What are you up to? How are you? I know you do so many different things. I know you are engaged in community and you've been doing some stuff with the Y. With both we both have. So that's how I really met you is through working with the Y. But I know you got other interests and things going on. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you're up to, and if people want to connect to what you're doing, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So way back in the 90s, so I started on radio and TV, and came back to Milwaukee, which I swore, I was not going to do because there was no Black representation in anything communicatory. So I was like, I'm out. And I was in North Carolina, and Willie Davis, former Packer, bought radio stations here, and happened to walk into my dad and his best friend's bar. And way back then, I know I'm aging myself, but my dad would call me and I would put him on hold at the radio station because, when you call into a radio station and they put you on hold, you hear the live broadcast. So my dad would take the phone and put the microphone up to the phone and blast my radio show in the bar with his proud self. And so Don Rosette and Willie Davis happened to walk into the main event, and they hear me and they inquired. And that was how I came back to Milwaukee, because Don Rosette reached out to me, and he is a dear friend and mentor to this day. And so I came back here, and Eric Vaughn and I started the morning magazine at 1290. And I did that. And then I handled all of the news. And my specific area was politics and human interests. And I got out of radio and TV some years later because I didn't like how we were represented. but I had a lot of politicians still coming to me and businesses coming to me asking me, well, how do you think we should, phrase this, or how do you? And so I was like, wait a minute, now this might be
Like,
the
wait
way
a
to
minute.
move. Right, right. Wait a minute, this guy, I'm sure there is a way to monetize this.
Right. This one got some coinage attached to
Right, there's
it.
a fun in this somewhere. So I started, I started as Carol Shirley, my maiden name, and then in 1999 I got married and changed to Kimball Communications. I incorporated in 2000, and I've had the business ever since. And I've been doing what you and I do. I've been doing diversity, equity, and inclusion in whatever moniker, sexy term du jour that it
Right.
had at the time for 30 years now. And I am doing that still to this day. But most of my work has, in previous years, was very fixer and behind the scenes, because one thing unfortunately we have a plethora of in Wisconsin is diversity issues. And so companies were reaching out to me for help because they were trying to avoid class action lawsuits, or they're trying to have a better hold on what they're doing. And businesses unfortunately still think of DEI work as a human resources or a legal thing, which I've been trying to tell businesses for 30 years. Right there, you've given up the ghost. Like you
Right.
battle right there. It is not. It is a communications and a culture thing.
So
So
definitely a culture. Definitely, I would definitely say
so
that.
I'm doing that, and of course because of incidents lately. I don't know why. I keep saying I don't know why George Floyd and Breonna. I don't know why these things are taking hold of people now, because that's a Tuesday in the Black community. Now I've had a lot more work in that
Sure.
capacity. I do communications, advertising, marketing, and have been doing that since 1991. So yeah, so
Do you know TJ? I mean, you must know TJ.
yeah. TJ, as a matter of fact, TJ started literally, I want to say 6 months before I left. TJ came in. She was just this young, like totally new, like, and
Yeah.
she was a star. Literally from the moment I met, I was like, oh yeah, she's about to blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is one of the most genuine, like the person she is on the radio. That's her.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like for
Right. Hey, TJ. I'm gonna make sure I tag her on this. Uh, but maybe I do a tea talk with you, TJ. But that's really interesting. I know you are into fashion.
yes,
I know you got some things going on with that too.
yes.
And we can talk. We probably can do a whole nother talk, because I also do my own business around race and faith. My tea, not your mama's tea, is my fun, happy place.
Okay,
Which I feel like if you are engrossed in that type of a work, you need fun, happy places. And this is tea.
absolutely.
Tea is definitely my happy place.
Okay.
Um, so, but yeah, would definitely we could circle back again another time and do some more conversation around um diversity, inclusion, and such. But I really, for me, once I, of course, like you said, once a lot of things started happening and in the country last year, from the attacks against the Asian community that's still ongoing, George Floyd, all the things that happened last year. And then people are reaching out to me or sending me some things about diversity, inclusion, that kind of thing too. And I really decided in myself, like, I'm anti-racist. If we can't talk about racism, then that job ain't for me.
And for me, absolutely.
If racism cannot be a central part of that title, that job ain't for me.
Yep.
Because I'm anti-racist. That's what I do. That's where I want to center my thing on, is really being talking about race. It's not that I'm not for inclusion and diversity of all things, of
Hmm.
all people, but really, if you can't honestly have a conversation about racism and how to be anti-racist, you're not going to do well in any other area. Everything else is just placating.
Absolutely. It's lipstick on a pig. You, amen. Amen.
So,
You are preaching. Yep. Yep.
so I knew I wanted to talk to you about today. I've been doing this. I started doing these conversations, Tea Talk, last month for Women's History Month. And I had such a good time, and really just starting with women who I've been knowing for a long time, who inspire me some way or another. And you would definitely, upon meeting you, I liked you. I like you.
Thank
And
you.
well, because
Likewise.
you, I don't know. That's why I was like, I don't know why you talking about you some JT, honey,
Right.
because you be busting in larger than life.
Yeah.
Um, and so I knew you were a person with a lot of personality. I could sense you're a lady with a lot of personality. You're very smart. You
Thank
think
you.
about things. Um, and you definitely have passion. So I said, let me talk to Carol.
Thank
But
you. I'm so honored.
yeah,
Likewise.
yeah, let me know what woman is inspiring you these days.
That's so easy. Let me tell you. So even posthumously, but my mother and like the women in my family are my immediate um draw because they've always been this constant. Like my mother, oh my gosh. My parents were the dynamic duo. We just lost my father a few months ago, and my dad was so I now as a grown woman, for real, a grown, for real woman. I appreciate the space that my parents held so much more, now. Like my dad always pushed my mom to the forefront. Like he always, like, baby, this position is available she was with Milwaukee County Mental Health for 40 years. He was always pushing her like to the forefront and let me help you write this and let me help, let your light shine. Like he was so dynamic in that space for her. So I never knew what it meant um, to not own your own space. Like my mom just is one of those women that she walks in the room and it's like Diane Carroll on whatever that show was back in the day, like Dynasty. Like mom walks in the room and she just owns it, and but not like a brash, like in your face. She's so dignified and she's so worthy, and I spent so much of my life not feeling worthy. So
Mm,
it's so crazy that I had these examples and I couldn't identify younger. But my grandmother was the same way. My grandmother was a teacher and she gave up her profession because my grandfather's medical practice was growing so huge and he was the only black doctor in this area. So people were coming from Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. So she gave up her career to establish the Battle Clinic in South Carolina. And she just was a lady, like in all aspects of the word. And she was a woman of God. And I watched her pray and study the word every day. I watched her, just take care of my grandfather and us. And I just watched her. She was huge in the community. And then all of my aunts and great aunts, they just all were these phenomenal women,
yeah.
and they all had extremely strong career paths. And I appreciate that so much now because this was down south. They were in the Bible Belt. They were all women of God, and what we know of women, it was not like they shone, even though we were supposed to be, like not, if that makes sense. So they went against all of those cultural norms and mores, and they did it with such class. And then currently people, like Martha and LG, people like Cecilia Gore, Paula Pennebaker, people who are not only friends but are women, Joan Prince, like women where you're just like, oh my goodness, like could you please just give a standing O to these women who unapologetically hold their space
Yeah.
and don't do it.
That part is beautiful. That
Yeah,
unapologetic holding of the space.
yeah,
That, and I think that's something you really grow into.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put this thing on Facebook a couple weeks ago. So I had this memory. I don't know why, but so mom and I had gone to the Circle of Women luncheon, and we always sat with Miss Gwen Jackson at her table. She every year, my mom has gone every year that the Circle of Women has she's been with Miss Gwen, and I've gone probably like 10 of the years. This one particular year, Paula was about to have a birthday, and afterwards, the three of us are just standing over the side talking. And Paula was like, Carol, you look really good. And I was like, thank you, Miss Paula. I was like, so do you. And we're just, exchanging compliments. And I said something to the effect of like, I've turned 40 and I'm starting to like kind of feel myself. Like I'm starting to, I'm liking this aging thing like that we're so fearful of. And Paula was like, well, honey,
Wait till you get 60.
whoop. She was like, wait till you get 60 and you don't give a damn. And then
Right.
my mom was like, well, hold up, ladies. She was like, when you hit 70, you don't give a F. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was so hilarious. But it stands out to me. And now I'm about to hit 50 in June. And I am really like, I have a double dose of I don't give a flying fig about anybody and what you like. And I really think as women and as women of the global majority, I really think it does. It is with that seasoning and
Right.
with the trials and with the successes and failures, like you fill yourself out.
Yeah.
Right?
I
And
remember Paula saying, I heard her saying something like that before, so I knew that was, I
girl
definitely, that's her.
cracked me up. And I
I'm
mean,
going
and
to
they
tag
meant
her
it.
on this too.
Right. And she meant that. And that mess is so true. And so I try and tell, our young up and coming princesses and queens, like I try and tell them, like, it only gets better.
Right.
Like,
If you
feel
allow
yourself.
it to, if you allow it to, because, it's a lot of ways we succumb to the pressure.
Yes.
Um, and I think it has to, well, I would say what I believe has been even more truer for me is who you allow yourself to be surrounded around. And you listed all these different women that you've been able to see, not only see, but be in relationship with. And that really does matter. How you grow to be comfortably you.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. That's not limited to class. You could be lower class, middle class, higher, upper echelon. If you never come into this space of just being comfortable with yourself, you're always trying to like be who other people want you to be,
Absolutely.
or pretend, or that whole conversation about imposter syndrome.
Ooh.
That whole thing. You're gonna live in that space until you can just say, I'm me. This is what I can do, what I bring, and I guess that last part go into worth. Um,
Hmm.
and I,
Absolutely.
I just kind of fall into, what I think faith helps me with the worth piece for sure. And
Absolutely.
I know you are a woman of faith, but that just helps so much. Is like I'm fully loved by God,
Yes.
all the bits of who I am. And everything I'm not, he's always pulling me into my excellence. And it's
Yes.
always my choice to answer back to that. And so I think that's just like a beautiful thing that kind of girds me. So yeah, it's cool to hear you say that. Now, what's your hope for women as we
Ooh.
move into the future? What do you hope for us?
Well, and just let me double back for 1 second on because you were such an example too. I didn't even get to finish with just in getting to know you and watching you in action. That's the thing that I get from like the thing that I love about how God places us and the spaces that He gives us is that I keep going back to that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I keep going back to before the foundations of the earth, like God knew exactly who I was. And that gives me such a, I hate to be cliche and say a blessed assurance, but it gives me such an assurance and insurance that even in my mistakes, I am right where I am supposed to be. And and even in a spirit of excellence, I am right where I'm supposed to be, and I do not have to apologize for a spirit of excellence. And that's one of the things that I got from watching you in action. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so fangirling watching. It was so, and I know,
Thank you.
and afterwards I know I was always like, round, 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 like little hearts like popping off of me. But it is so empowering to me to see women use their gifts and work in their gifts and be used of their gifts. It's amazing. And so that's my now landing the plane. That is my hope for women moving forward, is um, that we don't lose sight of the honor and the privilege and the calling of what it is to be a woman, because it is I was raised like, you are a girl and you become you're a little girl and you become a girl and you become a young lady and you become a lady. And the ultimate goal is to become a woman and then a woman of God. Like, that was the progression that was shown me by all the women in my family. So I think it is like, having become a woman and being a woman of God, to me, is a crown. Like, it's a title and an honor, and it is a calling, but it's a place that we hold. So I hope that more women, that more of our girls and more of our young ladies see that doing womanly things isn't what makes you a woman, but it's learning about yourself. And I hope that there's more spaces for us to learn about ourselves. I hope we look to our youngins and our unseasoned girls, and I hope as seasoned women we reach out to them and we bridge gaps, and because I think a smart, I always tell my kids, a smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from others' mistakes. So I hope I can share. Like, that's why I'm so open, Rhonda, and how you say, when I come, I have nothing to hide, because I'm like, the only reason I went through stuff is to prevent somebody else from going through stuff. So my testimony, my trial or whatever, is a place that you can avoid and you can learn from. So why would I hold that to myself? So I want that for women. I want everything for us. I mean, internationally, I want women to be safe.
Yeah.
I want us to be heard. I want us to be appreciated and loved. Like, I want us to be esteemed and exhorted. And yeah, so that's,
Yeah. Have you ever done any work with Kristen from Just a Girl?
no,
Oh, she does some international things with women along those lines of being safe. Uh,
yes,
that I'll send you some stuff about her organization.
please,
Check it out and
yes,
see if
please.
that's something that rings with you. But thank you so much for this time together today. It's been a blessed tea talk. So if people want to find you, how do they find you? How do they connect with you?
Well, yeah, one, and somebody just asked me that business wise, and I was like, well, unfortunately, because of the work that I did, I can't have a website because I have NDAs binding me for everything. But my email is kkimball99@gmail.com. I also have Kimball Com Inc., so Kimball COMMINC at gmail.com. And on Facebook, I'm Carol Shirley Kimball. And my business number is 414-207-1647.
All right. And I'm gonna send information. You can send me that in the chat box, and I will make sure I get that out to folks when I share this video again. But again, I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
The beats. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.